Coming up, police one step closer to solving the case of the baby's death by fire.
Also ahead, starting next year, summer nights will get a lot hotter.
And the Prime Minister hopes to make your light bill a whole lot cheaper. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Police have in custody 2 men in connection with the death of that 5-month-old baby boy that was burnt beyond recognition in an Elizabeth Estates house fire. Good evening, I'm Candido Knowles. Good
evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley. Well, police say the baby was found in that home in Elizabeth Estates along with his 6-year-old brother. They were apparently left home alone when the fire broke out. Police Superintendent Stephen Dean says the men in custody are 2 relatives. Superintendent Dean didn't go into detail about the investigation, but said if criminal charges are warranted, they will consult with the Attorney General's office to ensure that they are brought in on this matter. Mr. Dean says the police force considers the matter serious and wants to send a strong message that parents have the responsibility to take care of their children.
Well, 39-year-old Jarvis Burrows and 31-year-old Ondo Paul were charged for the murders of George Nixon and Kentley Milford before Magistrate Samuel McKinney today. Burrows, who appeared in court in a white T-shirt with a 3 teardrop tattoo beneath his right eye, was also charged with armed robbery, receiving a stolen vehicle, and possession of a firearm. Paul, who also carries aliases Adrian McGean and John Law, appeared in court in a gray T-shirt and was charged for the May 27th murder of Milford. Nixon was killed on August 27th. Neither man were required to enter a plea, and both were remanded to Her Majesty's prison and are expected to return to court on October 1st, where they will be served with a voluntary bill of indictment.
In other news tonight, Prime Minister Perry Christie is shedding some light on the government's plan to improve services at the Bahamas Electricity Corporation.
As Scieska Adderley tells us tonight, the Prime Minister reaffirmed his administration's commitment to providing consumers with electricity at a lower cost.
After approving its energy policy last week, it seems the government is one step closer to addressing the challenges facing the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. Prime Minister Perry Christie says the policy aims to ensure a supply of efficient, reliable, and affordable electricity. He told ZNS News by the end of the year, consumers could expect their energy bills to reflect that goal.
We have put in a new paradigm in BEC for the use of alternative energy, solar, for example, and how it could be used, and the extent to which it could be used. All of that decisions being made now. But from the point of view of BEC itself, the Deputy Prime Minister that chairs the committee has been mandated to move ahead now resolutely towards bringing about a decision that the government has to make by the end of the year on going forward with BEC.
While acknowledging BEC's challenges, which he says will be addressed, the Prime Minister reported that the cash-strapped corporation new energy policy is long-range, 20 years.
But we are mindful of the need to improve the various segments of BEC, both in terms of equipment and in terms of technology. We started on a request for proposal. We've been interviewing, we've been processing. The government has recently decided that it wants to move forward in a very special way. We are in the middle of discussions on that now, with a view to bringing about better and stronger results by the end of the year.
It was last year that the Prime Minister initially announced plans to reform BEC with the intent of lowering electricity costs for its more than 130,000 consumers. This time, he is confident his government will meet that commitment. Scieska Adderley, ZNS Network News.
The Prime Minister has confirmed that 4 companies have expressed interest in entering the local cellular market, including Cable Bahamas and Digicel. Government has appointed a task force headed by Ruth Miller to supervise the liberalization process, and a decision is expected soon. The task force is working on a request for a proposal that will be advertised. Prime Minister Christie explains how a determination will be made on the second cellular license. He also noted how government could be issuing a third license as early as 2016.
And IRCA will conduct an auction that will determine who of those companies or which of those companies are prepared to give the most for the license. And when that is done, everything will be taken into consideration. The history of the company, the capacity of the company as it exists in other jurisdictions, and what they are prepared to pay. And a final decision will be made.
Members of the Constitutional Review Commission are continuing their informational campaign on the amendments to the Constitution and gender equality. Last night, a small group of trade unionists from across the capital flocked to the Paul Farquharson Center to get a bird's-eye view of the impact of these 4 equality bills, which Bahamians are expected to vote on during a referendum November 6th. Coordinator of the Public Education Campaign, Theresa Moxey-Ingraham.
Well, trade unions in the Bahamas are a very important part of our makeup, and they represent people from all across the whole working environment. And we want to make sure that the leaders of those trade unions especially have the facts, have the details, so that they can then continue to spread the message. They can talk to their members, explain to their members. Hopefully they'll take a positive side, but that's not for us to determine. Our job is to give them the information, and that's why we deemed it very important tonight to talk to members of the trade unions.
Now, Moxey says even though there has been much debate surrounding the gender equality bills, Bahamians have been very receptive toward the informational seminars.
4 weeks, it's been sometimes twice a day, every day. We've been meeting with various community clubs, civic clubs. We've met with the large body of the police, the defense force, and several others as we've gone along. It's been every day. And we intend, in fact, later this week we'll be heading off to Grand Bahama to meet with special groups in Grand Bahama. We have a schedule that takes us throughout the month from all of August, all of September, and all of October, just about, straight across the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's every island from the north and straight down to the most southern of the islands. We intend to go meeting with community organizations and public groups, explaining, clarifying as best we can.
Well, still to come tonight, a gay weekend set for Freeport. ZNS has both sides of the story coming up.
And the Bahamas-styled carnival kicks off with a bang. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight live.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.